short version. It's going to be a fun one. Here on Taking Flight with Me, I am your host. My name is Mike Rocket Blackstone. I am the owner of a really awesome company called Air Combat USA here in Long Beach, California. I'm going to be reviewing for you today from our perspective, from the Air Combat perspective, after 36 years of flying piston-powered fighters in a 1-versus-1 aerial combat environment. What is it like for us to watch the movie Top Gun with you? This business actually was started on the heels of a movie called Top Gun back in 1986 with this guy, Tom Cruise, Maverick, who takes our inner Maverick and pushes the limits and ends up with a bunch of stuff going on and kind of inspired us. This movie inspired my father in 1986 to take his airline career to another level and purchased a couple of fighter planes called Marchetti SF260s back in the early times, back in 1986, 87. And by 88, 89, he had this company called Top Gun Aviation, which he later renamed Air Combat USA. So we could do air-to-air combat. And at that time, he was able to get the attention of the United States Navy and the Navy Fighter Weapons School down in Miramar at the time, and recruited a bunch of Top Gun fighter pilots who thought what we were doing is and was the coolest thing that they had ever seen. So what we did at that point was buy as many Marchettis as possible and proceed to travel to 27 cities nationwide, allowing the average Joe public to experience what it's like to be a fighter pilot, and that had not been done before that time. So without further ado, I'm going to give you a little bit of my perspective of the trailer, which I've got queued up here. I'll put that up for you, and you'll get a chance to see the Top Gun trailer. I'll talk about it and pause it as we go. I've seen the movie 4 times already, and if you have not seen the movie, I am going to probably do some spoilers here, so go ahead and pause it. Go see the movie on IMAX if you can, and get the music cranked up so you can really follow along with the sound and fury of the mighty F-18 Hornet and Super Hornet, which is heavily featured in this film with all real flying footage. And I'll talk about the bits that I know to be CGI'd. There is CGI, of course, in every film. This is an action film. This is not a documentary. This is actually a entertainment film using real Hornets in real flying, and it did an awesome job. So without further ado, here we go. I'm going to stitch it up to the film and turn on my lower right there. Here we go. Coming up with 2 and action.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
All right, so that cool little clip at the very beginning shows some of the huge pieces of how they did this film and why it's so exciting. You see how hard they fly this airplane. When you see those very, very aggressive stick movements, from my friends who fly the F-18 Hornet, they say that is normal. That is actually the way you'd fly this airplane if you want to achieve maximum angle of attack, maximum G, maximum turn performance, or both. The airplane will give you its best. So we don't fly the Marchetti SF260s that way. You'd never fly a P-51 that way. You'd never fly any fly-by-wire airplane in the world that way, or non-fly-by-wire airplane in the world that way. You'd break the thing. But in fly-by-wire airplanes, there is a computer that buffers things out and gives you what its best performance would be. So that actually is really cool. I like that clip. And here's the next piece for you coming up. Nice low pass. So what the guys tell me in that piece is, as you see that high-speed pass, during the movie they tried it at different speeds, different altitudes, and to get the maximum effect of the shock wave going across the desert floor and getting just the right amount of dust flying and that swirling effect that you get from the wingtip vortices being down that low, is what they were saying is around 350 knots. It makes a better rooster tail than even higher speed and lower speed. So they worked on it, multiple passes. and Walleye, I believe is his name, was that flew that pass, and a former Blue Angel for the Navy, made that thing awesome and made it look great, and it went right over the camera, which he explained in his debrief of it was it's hard to see the crew, and it's hard to nav straight to them at that low of an altitude and that high of a speed. That actually was a pretty tough shot to get, and I think they nailed it. Nice job, guys.
What do we have here?
God, here I thought we were special.
Fellas, this here's Bagman.
Hangman.
Whatever.
What the hell kind of mission is this?
Everyone here is the best.
Awesome footage, and moving through the canyons at that speed. In the movie, they talked about doing like 680 knots through the canyons. That's a little extreme. That's not where the best turn performance is of the F-18, which should be somewhere in like the 350 knot range to 400 knots maybe. But going 6 bills at that low of an altitude really degrades your ability to turn the airplane. The turn radius is too large, and the G's aren't going to give you the turn rate that you'd like to do to get around the corners. So it's not super realistic there, but it is cool as hell. Being down that low and going fast certainly makes for an amazing effect, and well done on the stability of the shots. The cinematography, the lighting is epic and beautiful, and it really, really gave the F-18 some awesome performance, and it looked great.
Best there is. Who the hell are they going to get to teach us?
That little line there that they gave Phoenix to talk about fighter pilots saying that they're the best is really not realistic. We're not really like that. We think we're great in many ways, and many ways we know we're not, and that the learning experience of pilots never ends. So a lifetime of flying will never get you to the part where you feel that you're the best there ever was. And if you say that, so many eyebrows would be raised, and we all know that that's not true. So I wish they hadn't put that line in. Other than that, a group of Top Gun instructors, I've been around them many years, the most humble, cool, smart, funny, witty, dark humor, practical jokers, great pilots, and super great teachers. So yeah, the thought of it not being something that there would be no one to teach us this mission. Who are they going to get to teach us? That's just not realistic there. But we know that they have great camaraderie, and we know that fighter pilots have awesome egos. Hangman in this scene starts off, and we're not sure why he's so arrogant and why he's so angry or whatever it is that he is. I wish they would have given him an opportunity to earn that arrogance or show why he's that way. But most pilots are really not like that. They're really much more humble and cool than what they depicted here. Back to the trailer.
Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell. Let me be perfectly blunt. You are not my first choice. You are here at the request of Admiral Kazansky, aka Iceman. He seems to think that you have something left to offer the Navy. What that is, I can't imagine.
With all due respect, sir, I'm not a teacher. Just want to manage expectations.
Okay, so I love that. I love that piece. The that you're not my first choice. Maverick's had a tainted career, although he keeps blowing things up and breaking the rules and not really doing everything he can to be an exemplary example of a fighter pilot in the Navy. Probably would have been what they call FNAB'd, probably been busted and removed from flight status multiple times for multiple reasons, mostly due to poor head work and abuse of the equipment. But aside from that, he claims that he's not a teacher. Again, fighter pilots, they have an obligation to teach the next round of pilots coming through. We know our time is limited. And speaking of that, in this movie, they've done an amazing job at putting a little bit of a human factor to pilots. We know that we have a shelf life. We don't like to admit it, but we know we do. And we know that our time in the seat is limited. And one day we're going to have to pass the reins over to the next group of pilots. And in this situation, Pete Maverick Mitchell is faced with that. And he had just blown up an airplane, which probably would have been really lucky to survive, if at all. But after he damaged an airplane, he probably would have been removed from flight status, and that would have been it. But the movie continues. He survives it, and his friend is Ice Val Kilmer, Iceman, who's now an admiral with failing health, goes on to ask for his help because he knows he's one of the best pilots in the Navy and can teach the current group of squadron Top Gun students or recent graduates to teach them about this special mission that they're going to do. This next scene that's coming up is going to show Tom splitting a formation at high speed, and then he goes on to teach these really accomplished fighter pilots that they don't know everything there is to know. And after 30 years of flying fighters and into the space program, these skunk works, this as a test pilot, that his flying skills have been continually honing over the last 30 years, and now he's going to show him that actually has some value. And here comes a very close pass. So this pass, of course, is blended together passes. From what I've heard during the making of the movie is, yes, there was a formation of two Hornets that broke away violently as if something had passed between them, and then they stitched it with another Hornet going straight up diagonally through and put them all together into a really cool looking close pass. This, of course, wouldn't have happened in real life and didn't happen in real life, but it looks awesome on the big screen. So let's go to it. And here you go.
What the hell?
Good morning, aviators. This is your captain speaking.
Right, so he goes on to dogfight these accomplished Top Gun graduates and proceeds to school them and beats them up pretty badly and shows them that they still have things to learn. I think that's appropriate. I mean, when you fly, you get new cadets that are all fists and fury, and they want to be the best, and we strive to be the best. However, when you get into the jets and you start to see that years and years of experience actually is valuable, and Tom's showing them that they are not always the best at what they think they are, and they could always learn something from the older guy, which is pretty cool here. Going on.
And we're off.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so that scene shows Tom. That's the third act where they're going into the battle at the end of the film, which is really, really cool. Off the carrier, flight of 4 F-18 Hornets. They had to create this mission for 4 Hornets to do it and give them purpose, give them something to shoot for. I love that. I think the movie did a fantastic job portraying the F-18 Hornet with a mission that it needed to do. Could they have used an F-35 and basically CGI'd the whole thing and not used any actors in the airplanes at all? That would have defeated the purpose that Tom was hoping for. So I think it was an awesome use of the 4-ship of F-18s. They managed to create a mission that really only the Hornet could do before the Hornet is replaced by the F-35, the F-22s. The Hornet is on its way out. And that's the case when you see the Blue Angels transitioning to the Rhino, to the Super Hornet. That is the aircraft's last stop before retirement. I don't know if you guys knew that, but the Blue Angels do not get the newest, coolest, best jets. They end up getting the ones that are on their way out. They're the last stop before they retire that jet. So all of the C model F-18s that you've seen flying the Blue Angels show nationwide, those jets are now retired, from what I understand, and they're replacing them now with the Super Hornet, the F E and the F model, so you can see them in action at the next air show. So continuing on, here's the remainder of the clip.
We're going into combat on a level no living pilot's ever seen.
Not even him.
You think up there you're dead. Believe me.
I love that. So that bridge there is CGI. They flew low through the canyon, and if there was a bridge there, they didn't fly through it. Of course, that's a pretty tight run. But the the flying through the canyon was all real, and through this section, I believe the northern Pacific Northwest. This is the Catskills. Up in the Pacific Northwest is what I understand it is. Low and fast, they were able to do that very well through these canyons. Of course, they did not risk the jet flying between the pillars of a bridge. But this is the final scene going into what supposedly enemy territory at 600 knots, and what's that look like? About 2 wingspans, so maybe 60 feet. You kind of could see it there. And continuing on, here you go.
My dad believed in you. I'm not gonna make the same mistake.
Someone's not coming back from this.
Those are your pilots. Anything happens to them.
Smoke in the air!
You'll never forgive yourself.
No turning back now.
Come on!
Yeah, so this is an awesome way to portray it in the trailer. It shows how these guys and gals have trained and how they are going to fly 4 Hornets together into a mission using one of the Hornets to lays the target and the other one drops, and that's actually really realistic. That's an appropriate use of the Hornet, the laser guidance system on one aircraft to identify the target and to help the laser-guided bomb track into the target, which is really, really cool. And it gives them, like I said, it gives these airplanes a mission to accomplish. And Tom, being the Mission Impossible guy, has a mission that is really tough, and it's well defended. You got these SAMs, which of course are CGI'd as well. Nobody actually got shot down out there, but the threat is real. SAM, surface-to-air missiles, are a high threat for any aircraft, and as they get more and more advanced, they're much more deadly, and being close to the ground gives the missile more of a chance to take the airplanes out. So getting shot down by a SAM, super real threat. And then the 5th-gen fighters, which come into it at the end, are amazing. Now, from what I understand, 5th-gen fighters, they would have loved to have had access to, I believe it's an Su-57. Of course, they didn't have access to it, but what they did was they said they skinned them. In other words, they used a Hornet for those shots to give it space and feel and filming a real aircraft, and then reskin it later and make an F-18 into an Su-57 and CGA the pieces that aren't right, or if they get shot down, that you can actually create that. So amazing cinematography in this film. Again, super impressive. It's hard to tell what's real and what's CGI'd, which is how you know you've got the mark of an excellent epic film like we've done here in Top Gun. So here we go with the next section.
Having any fun yet?
Now, when I say not real, they did do a pass, and they did make it look like there was going to go through 2 airplanes, and they would split as they see an airplane come through, as if an airplane came through, but then they layered it up. So you get a high-speed opposite direction pass, and you get the plane splitting to get out of the way. Love it. It's so impressive, and it looks great on film. All right, so there you have it. From our perspective, from flying fighter planes, we fly piston planes. We fly basically World War II style. So when I see the P-51 Mustang in Top Gun maneuvering and turning and flying, those are all real shots. That's actually Tom Cruise doing all of his own stunt work in his own aircraft. He owns the P-51 Mustang. I've actually seen that airplane. My friend used to work on it up in Van Nuys. It is a beautiful flying machine. What an impressive line of love for aviation that Tom Cruise expresses in this film. Clearly, anybody who devotes their life to aviation, in addition to becoming a top world-class actor, and then while you're an actor, take yourself and become a great pilot too. So Tom actually learned to fly as a result of the movie Top Gun, which I kind of latch onto as well. When I was 16 years old, Tom Cruise was blasting through the sky in in Top Gun, and I grew up on that film. Top Gun, the original movie, inspired me to learn to fly. It inspired my dad to start the movie Top Gun, and that connection was able to propel me through the next 36 years of flying as a career. So thank you, Tom, for inspiring me to learn to fly. Thank you for inspiring my dad to start this great company called Air Combat USA, where we take people up and teach them how to dogfight. But more interestingly is, as Tom learned to fly, he also proceeded to fall in love with World War II vintage. And he ended up buying a Pitts, a red, white, and blue Pitts S260, very similar to the one that I owned, and did not know that we had the same type of aircraft for a very long time. And I'm not sure if he still has the Pitts. It wouldn't surprise me if he does. But the Pitts, being a tail dragger, high horsepower airplane, prepped him for flying in the P-51 Mustang, which is also a huge accomplishment to fly as a civilian who now owns a 1945 World War II Warbird with a 1,450 horsepower Merlin on the front of it, and takes care of this thing. And it looks like he probably tinkers on it a little bit. If he doesn't, it looks like he knew how to work on it, change the spark plugs, maybe recowl it. It looked very realistic that he feels comfortable around that airplane. It's very believable that he is a pilot and loves aviation and owns and operates these pieces of equipment, which I certainly can feel that camaraderie as he's doing that. So alongside Tom's career, I feel like my career kind of progressed in aviation along a similar path. Tail draggers, aerobatics, love of warbirds. Ended up in Marchetti SF260s, which is where our family built this amazing business with air combat, dogfighting, 1v1 Marchettis all over the country as a result of Tom Cruise's movie in 1986. Now here we are, fast forward 36 years later, and he's still interested in aviation. He's still promoting it as something to enjoy, and he didn't go down the road of, the downfalls of, aircraft ownership, or the downfalls in the Navy, or the things that aren't so easy and fun to deal with, because life isn't easy and fun to deal with sometimes. So you'll find the different personalities that fall in love with aviation are passionate about flying, but there's also these egos and these different differences of opinion in the way things really work, and that's okay. What he's done is blend everybody together into one awesome group of people who just love flying, from the admirals to the ground crew. It takes a village to fly airplanes. It takes an army to take care of things and fly them and insure them and maintain them and operate them and love them, and all of the things that go into aviation. This movie really encompassed quite well, and I'm super pleased and proud of what this movie has inspired our family to build. And I hope that you guys get a chance to experience aviation like we have. And Air Combat USA has been a part of that. So hopefully you've enjoyed this little podcast. I'm giving a thumbs up. My ranking of this film, I've seen it 4 times in all the different formats. Go see it in IMAX. I've seen the other formats. I did not realize what the other formats were, so I had to try them all out. And IMAX is the way to go. If you could find an IMAX theater, please do it. Crank the volume all the way up. Hope you've enjoyed this. Come back and see us again real soon in the next podcast. Keep on flying, you guys. Oh yeah, that's a wrap. Okay, so stop and